Okay. So we are entering into the great scope, the motivation of the advanced practitioner, the Mahayana path. I think this is session 22, but who's counting? Uh, as we entered this path, Lamrim Chenmo, which is what we've been studying, it literally is the stages of the path to enlightenment. And as we cover it, it lets us know where we are, but not just where we are, but where we'd like to be, and a full picture. And so we're entering into a place now of the Mahayana path, entering into the great scope where, maybe I'm not there yet. And maybe it'll be a while. But I can start planting seeds here. I can start aspiring and nurturing this place that I'd like to be while I cultivate preliminary practices. And so if you haven't been here, just a brief synopsis. Within the Buddhist path, this particular teaching is one that encompasses all the paths. Lamrim Chenmo is this commentary by Lama Tsongkhapa on Atisha's Lamp of the Path. And so Atisha was this great master who traveled and received the teachings and the lineages of all different Buddhist paths, and was a great master in his own right. And he composed this incredible text for the Tibetans. It's kind of interesting. They said, Tibetans were kind of rough folk and pretty wild, and then he thought about what he could offer, and he took the essence of all the teachings and offered them this precious teaching on, here's a practical way that contains it all that I can offer you. And it laid out the whole foundation and spoke to whatever particular level someone was at. So they talk about 3 levels of practitioners. Lama Tsongkhapa gave these great commentaries. And so when we talk about Lamrim teachings, we're talking about stages of the path, these teachings that teach this path. And within this path, and there's always preliminary practices, which is where, that's where most of us really are. Most of us are learning. When we think about preliminary practice, we're thinking about understanding just how fortunate we are to have the life that we have. I mean, that's pretty easy to forget, isn't it? We're frustrated because the air conditioning isn't working. Yeah, life's difficult. And we're frustrated because somebody doesn't like me or somebody said this. When in fact, we have 18 qualities that make this a rare and precious human rebirth. All the qualities for enlightenment right here, right now. And very few of 7 billion have that. And you do. We forget it. So preliminary practices, remembering this rare and precious rebirth, remembering it's not going to last, It's an easy mindset to get into. I'll do that tomorrow. Hey, yeah, I won't get to that. I'll get to that retreat or that talk or that chore or that task or tomorrow. Yeah, time I watch some TV or whatever it is we do. Worse yet, yeah, I got some time to kill. I'll tell you, if we did preliminary practice, you have no time to kill. One of my personal favorites is, man, I can't wait for this day to end. Yeah, I'm telling you, that's the wrong attitude, man. I can wait. I can wait. This day will never come again, and we don't know that we'll have tomorrow. I mean, that's reality. That's reality. So preliminary practices really lay a foundation to remind us the opportunity that we have right now, and that we don't know that we'll have it tomorrow. There's nothing to say we'll be here tomorrow. The delusion that we have time. So even though that's maybe where we're at, well, we think about where we'd like to be and how we'd like to use this life. And so all these teachings have looked at the ways that we create suffering in our own lives, and we looked at antidotes to remove that suffering. And we talked about ethics, or just the morality in life, just the way that mental afflictions arise, and how anger, resentment, jealousy, and these things that we nurture, and how we can apply antidotes and live with virtuous activity and avoid the not virtuous, and just how much simpler life gets. How much simpler, how much easier it is. It's so much easier to look in the mirror and be okay with yourself and you do things you feel good about. It ain't rocket science. And you don't need a Buddhist teaching for that. What we need a Buddhist teaching for is to develop the quality of mind that remembers that. Because we forget that. We forget it all the time. So really cultivating this ethical foundation from which all virtue can grow, concentration, and training the mind to be present in the life that we want, and not forgetting the life we want to have. And as we go through this, we enter into, and they saved concentration and wisdom, these two higher trainings, two of the three, ethics is one, for the Mahayana path. And the reason they did that is because they want to imbue your concentration with bodhicitta. They want to imbue your wisdom with bodhicitta. Bodhicitta, the great compassion, the actual skillful activity that leads you to full enlightenment. If we can constantly bring that to mind, cultivating bodhicitta as we work on everything else, we can imbue every realization we have, every little epiphany that we have, with the aspiration to free all beings from suffering. That's the idea, and it's just imbued in it, every realization we have. And so that's where we're at now. We're entering the Mahayana path. We've talked about the benefits of cultivating this great compassion, and now we're at the point of how to cultivate it. And so there's two specific methods that are taught in this text. One is 7-point cause and effect, right, which is the idea of these seven. It's really Tibetan math. There's a 0 point, and then 6 causes, and then the 7th is the result of this bodhicitta. So 7-point cause and effect. And the idea is that we can go through each of these steps and bring them into our daily life, get a little realization, and that leads to the cause of the next one, which leads to the cause of the next one, which leads to the cause of the next one. And then ultimately, bodhicitta, this aspiration, this wisdom, this calling to not let any living being suffer. And that'll get you out of bed in the morning. We got something to do. Yeah. So there's also equalizing and exchanging self for others. Now the foundation for both of them, 0.0, ground 0, is equanimity. It's equanimity. So we had a nice talk about equanimity last week, and we still didn't cover it. I think we could spend quite a bit of time on equanimity. But one thing I always want to, so what is equanimity? Equanimity is the antidote to attachment and aversion. Okay, so we have 3 root delusions, 3 root poisons that keep us in a conditioned existence. This is our primary problem. Our primary problem that creates all the other delusions, all the cycle of samsaric conditioned existence, life after life, are based at these 3 roots. Okay, the very root is misperception. Misperception. I misperceive myself, I misperceive you, and I misperceive the nature of phenomenon, reality, and because of that, I really see myself as John Bruna, very important person, much more important than anybody else in this room, because I am the center of the universe. And everything else I see in the universe, you either benefit me or you don't benefit me. I like you or I don't like you, or you fall in some great neutral area. And I could really care less about you, unless you got a donut. Which guys, come over here. And if you got Australian black licorice, right up here. And from the moment we recognize ourselves, we immediately start looking at everyone else as different, separate, and you're either benefiting me or you're not. It's either good to see you or it's not, or sometimes could care less. But you fall into one of those three categories. Equanimity is the antidote to that. It is the opportunity to start seeing clearly by providing the antidote to, I didn't even tell you the other two. So misperception first, and then I like and I don't like. So attachment and aversion, sometimes called greed and hatred. But I like attachment and aversion. It makes sense to me real clearly. Out of misperception, there's people I like, greed, attachment, and people and things I don't like, aversion, sometimes called, hatred, or things I don't like, things I want to avoid, things I want to increase. And so the rest of my life is spent trying to accumulate the things I like and the people I like and the things I like and the things that are good, and avoid the things I don't like. And that is where all of our karma is created. And it just keeps those conditions, all our habits and conditionings and impulses and desires. And the wheel that we get on, we absolutely forget basic principles of logic and reason. That when we're not caught up in it, it makes a lot of sense. What happens when you get what you want?
Want more.
You want more. That's the way that works. We just have some concept that if I get what I want, I'll be peaceful and easy and happy. May the force be with you. Let me know if you ever find that to work. Just let me know. I'd be interested. But our mind, the misperceiving mind, really tells myself, this is going to make my day. This is going to make me happy. If this happens, I will have it made. And guess what? We've had this. And then we're still subject to anger, frustration, resentment, jealousy, bad days, good days. And it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So equanimity is this really sense of reality that does not, and this is a point I really wanted to make last week that I didn't get to, it doesn't exaggerate. I mean, that's a simple way of really entering equanimity. The entryway is, it does not exaggerate the qualities that are good or harmful about the things and events and activities in our life. Because we exaggerate all day long. We exaggerate about everything and just how terrible something was and how awful it was and the best meal ever, the best day ever. We exaggerate. Just listen to your language. It's funny, right? I can't wait till Wednesday. I bet you can. I can't wait till Wednesday. It'll be amazing. This was an epic day. It was epic. And I just can't live without you. 2 months later, I can't really live with you. Either are just as miserable. I don't know. And so what happens is we imbue all of our experiences with exaggerated qualities, either harmful or helpful, right? The worst day ever, this is the worst thing that could possibly happen. And so equanimity is starting to really pause for a moment and take a better look. And take a better look. And understand a very basic principle that every experience in your life, every experience you have, everything that you have has the equal opportunity to be engaged with in your life on the path to enlightenment. Things that happen that are beneficial can provide you the opportunity and resources to make a life meaningful. Things that happen that are harmful or painful are the opportunities to grow. Not that everything is equal in a sense, and that's not what we're saying. There's this misperception around equanimity that is indifference, like everything's the same. And it's not that everything's the same, because they aren't the same. There's things that we could do that are virtuous, and there's things that we can do that are harmful. There are habits that are beneficial, and there's habits that are harmful. Things are not the same. But we can bring a mind to engage in these activities with the same level of attention and the same motivation to use them to transform our lives to enlightenment. But it also starts with just not exaggerating, right? And how much time and energy do we spend caught up in worldly concerns? And it's not that worldly concerns are a bad thing. It's that we actually have an exaggerated view of them. So 8 worldly concerns, right? Gain and loss, pain, pleasure, good reputation, bad reputation, praise and criticism. If somebody, if we have equanimity, we're not going to exaggerate whether it's gain and loss, just if I get this, how much better my life will be. And we're not going to exaggerate if we lost it, how terrible it would be. Right? We've had stuff, right? And we've lost stuff. So, I mean, think about the mental states, and the classic example, any of you that's been in any teachings with me, I just, just suits me. And so I would just, have you ever been stuck in traffic and late for an appointment? It's frustrating as hell, isn't it? Oh my God, we're worked up. It's an appointment. It's frustrating. There's traffic. Oh, I'm never going to make it there. You know how worked up we are in that moment? And yet, what happened? You either were late or you weren't. There happened to be probably a few other people caught up in that traffic, and their day was going on. And you probably haven't thought about that event again in a long time. It came and it went. And it wasn't the worst thing ever. And you were in a car, and you had a car, and you had somewhere to go, and you could read and write. Equanimity brings reality back into focus with perspective. It doesn't get caught up and triggered by the emotions and attachments that if I miss this appointment, it's going to be terrible. Anybody here ever miss an appointment? Yeah, I have. Are you okay? Are you all right? You're doing okay today? But in that moment, we're pretty caught up, and it's pretty stressful. If we've missed a plane, if we've, just whatever's happened. So equanimity, and where I'd really like to invite you to participate this week, is just start noticing the events in your life and noticing where we exaggerate. Noticing where we exaggerate. That's our task for the week. Where do we exaggerate? When we come in contact with someone we don't like, can we see any good in that person? Or do we think that they are just pure awful? And that they couldn't possibly do a nice thing ever? They'd probably kick the cane out from their grandmother. Or can we see that this is a person who's doing something that I don't really like in that way? Or heaven forbid, I have to sit in the room with somebody with a different political view. Okay? So, where do we exaggerate with people? Where do we exaggerate with the events? What I'm going to eat. The importance of this activity if it works out a certain way. The terribleness of actually having to do something that I don't want to do, and how awful that would be. The resistance that comes up. Where do we exaggerate? And see if we can this week just start noticing that. And noticing that can I bring to all of these activities the thought that I want to use this experience to cultivate my highest potentials? If I'm with someone who's challenging, guess what I get to cultivate? Patience. If I'm working, that annoying customer at work is the reason I have a job. They're not the person to be angry at. And then why are they annoying? Are they actually annoying? Or am I feeling annoyed? And am I annoyed? Or am I just feeling annoyed and it will come and go and I'll still be here? Equanimity is going to start unraveling this little story we tell ourselves that person's annoying. Because that's not where the annoying is. It's me wanting that person to be different than they are. And identifying with the annoyingness. Saying, I am annoyed. When in fact you're not. You're experiencing a mental state that we call annoying, and it'll come and go. You'll still be here. But we give it so much weight and energy in it, and it exaggerates that and triggers the emotions and events in our lives. And we attach all of this energy and emotion and activity around things that happen on our day-to-day basis. And because of that, we forget that magic equation that Emerson reminds us of. That for every minute of anger you have, you will lose 60 seconds of happiness. What do you want to do? You want to be angry? This day is never coming again. Is that what you want to do? Is that helpful? Or what is helpful? So this week, let's lay the foundation to cultivate bodhicitta. This week, let's bring to mind and try to note in your day. Take a little time in the morning, to remember this day will never come again. And I would like to engage in it in all my activities that can help me be a better human being, if nothing else. Whether I'm shooting for enlightenment, I'll tell you what, it'll help me be a better human being. And that will have the qualities to help me become enlightened. Tenzin Priyadarshi in the talk, I've been repeating this a lot. He said all the time he hears people say, but I'm only human. And he says, that's a self-imposed limitation. I'm only human. The Buddha was only human. All the saints that we admire were only human. Gandhi was only human. Being human is the foundation for enlightenment. And you have that opportunity right now. It just isn't our biggest priority, is it? Sometimes a banana split is. But if we can use our activities, engagements, this life that we have in a way that allows us to cultivate our better qualities even as a human being, they become the foundation for enlightenment, for the benefit of all beings. So this week, let's see if we can notice our exaggerated qualities. I know you probably can't wait till Wednesday to see where we're at. And notice, just even on simple things with a meal, a meal that we're eating. Can this be a meal that nourishes you to be healthy and well? Even if it doesn't have enough salt? Remember why we're eating. When we're doing our chores, we can be doing chores, but why are you doing the chores? My daughter, she used to run out and water the grass real quick so she can go out and play. She'd be in a few minutes. So why are we watering the grass? And she'd go, she knew not to say, so I can go play. Because that's really what she'd go, so the grass could grow, so we'll have nice grass that we can play on. So, right. So, do you think the grass had enough water? No. So then go out and water the grass. When we're doing our chores, are we putting things away or taking care of something so that we can benefit from an orderly, clean place? Or if we're at work, are we doing something that can benefit others? Are we engaging in activities that allow us to have resources that we can make the best use of our life? Or are we just showing up for a paycheck and having to do what's in front of us? Equanimity is about engaging in life in all activities with the same equal level of attention and motivation. And it is not saying everything's equal in that sense. Because there are some things that you will do that are more helpful, and there's some things that you will do that are less helpful. We do things that are not very beneficial, and we do things that are beneficial. We want to bring that level of attention to start cultivating the things that are healthy and better in our lives, and try to avoid doing the things that are less helpful. So equanimity lays this foundation. As we cultivate equanimity and engaging, the other piece, we spent a lot of time on this last week, but it's important to remember is that every being that you come in contact with, to see all of them as equal partners in this thing that we call life, and to learn to have the same level of respect and attention to everyone you come in contact with as you do your own family. And that's where we really want to get to. And it does not come overnight. It comes with realizing that everyone you meet is just like you. Just like me, everyone wants happiness. Just like me, everyone wants to avoid suffering. Just like me, everyone has known sadness and despair. Just like me, everyone is trying to get their needs met. Just like me, everyone is learning how to live. And that's true. That's not an exaggeration. We often forget that. And we forget that we've done stupid, harmful things. And we don't forgive others. And we forget that others have done wonderful things. And we have too. We're all in this together. So let's engage with everybody in a way that honors and recognizes them as valuable human beings. Even if they're doing something harmful, we deal with the harmful thing they're doing without labeling them the jerk. They're a human who's doing something harmful, we'll deal with the harmful thing. All right. Okay, so we're going to end a little early tonight because we've got a bunch of monks in town. And so the monks are here from Ganden Chartse, the monastery I used to belong to. And tonight they'll be doing a cultural event. They'll be doing some debate and a slideshow that we put together of life at the monastery. So that'll be kind of fun. So let's go ahead and do a little dedication, dedicating the virtue, merit, and wisdom we've accumulated here today for the benefit of all beings. Let us dedicate the virtue and wisdom we have accumulated both here today and throughout our lives, both individually and collectively. We dedicate this for the benefit of all beings. May all beings be free of suffering and find lasting happiness. And may we be able to use the virtue and wisdom accumulated here today and throughout our lives to purify our own minds, to cultivate our own path to enlightenment for the benefit of all beings, so we can liberate them as well as ourselves. All right. Well, I thank you all so much. It's joy to see you, and I'm glad we had another session today. And all of you online, thanks for joining us. And as always, stay out of trouble.